7 months clean, 7 months without alcohol, without drugs, without anything. The hardest 7 months of my life. But I was succeeding. And the reason was one person, David, my sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous, a man who talked to me every day, helped me, gave me strength. A man who said he understood me because he'd walked this path too. I trusted him, completely trusted him. Until one day, after a meeting, I felt sick, dizzy, nauseous, and that feeling, that familiar feeling, the feeling I hadn't had in 7 months, the feeling of being high. But I hadn't taken anything, or had I? And when I discovered the truth, when I found out David had been deliberately poisoning my coffee with drugs, to keep me addicted, to keep me dependent on him, to make sure I never left him, my world fell apart. Listen, baby. Sit down and breathe deep. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to shake you to your core. It's going to make you question everything you think you know about recovery, about trust, about the people who claim they want to help you. This is a story about the cruelest kind of betrayal, the kind that happens when you're at your most vulnerable, when you're fighting for your life, when you're trusting someone to save you, and they're secretly destroying you instead. And I need you to stay with me till the very end, honey, because this story could save someone's life, maybe even yours. My name is Eve. I'm 43 years old, and I'm an addict. I've been clean for 2 years now. But getting here nearly killed me, not because of the addiction itself, but because the man who was supposed to help me get clean was keeping me sick. On purpose. Let me take you back to where this started. 5 years ago, I hit rock bottom. I'd been drinking heavily for 15 years. Started in college. Social drinking that became daily drinking that became can't function without it drinking. By the time I was 38, I was drinking a bottle of vodka a day. Lost my job. Lost my apartment. Lost most of my friends. My sister Maria was the only one who stuck around. And finally, she gave me an ultimatum. Eve, you get help or I'm done. I can't watch you kill yourself anymore. I went to rehab. 30 days inpatient at a facility 2 hours from home. It was hell, baby. Withdrawal. Therapy. Group sessions. Confronting everything I'd been drinking to avoid. But I made it through. Came out sober. Shaky but hopeful. Ready to start over. The counselors at rehab told me, you need support. You can't do this alone. Find an AA meeting, get a sponsor, build a network. So I did. Found a meeting near my sister's house, where I was staying. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m., in the basement of a church. Folding chairs in a circle, coffee in styrofoam cups, the Serenity Prayer on the wall. That's where I met David. He was the one who welcomed me my first night. First time? He asked, offering me coffee. Yeah. Just got out of rehab. That's great. That's a big step. I'm David. I've been sober 8 years. 8 years sounded like forever to me. Like an impossible dream. How did you do it? I asked. One day at a time. With help, with support, with people who understand. David was 52. Warm smile. Kind eyes. Calm presence. He'd been an alcoholic, he said. Lost everything. Rebuilt his life through AA. Now he worked as a counselor at a community center. Helped other addicts find their way. That's my purpose now, he said. Helping people like us. People who are fighting to get their lives back. I was drawn to him immediately. Not romantically, nothing like that. But as someone who seemed to have the answers I needed. Someone who'd walked the path I was trying to walk. After my third meeting, David approached me. "Eve, have you thought about getting a sponsor?" "I don't really know what that means." A sponsor is someone who's been through recovery, someone you can call when you're struggling, someone who guides you through the 12 steps, someone who holds you accountable. "How do I find one?" "I'd be happy to sponsor you, if you're interested." I was, desperately, because I was terrified of relapsing, terrified of going back to the darkness I'd just escaped. "Yes. Please. I need all the help I can get." David became my lifeline. We talked every day, sometimes multiple times a day. He'd check in. "How are you feeling today? Any cravings? What's your plan for staying sober?" He'd encourage me. "You're doing great. 7 days sober, then 14, then 30. You're stronger than you think." He'd be available. "Call me anytime, day or night. If you feel like drinking, call me first." And I did. When cravings hit at 2 a.m., and they did, constantly those first few months, I'd call David. And he'd talk me through it. "Breathe, Eve, the craving will pass. It always does. Let's talk about something else. Tell me about your day." We met for coffee twice a week. Before meetings, we'd sit in a diner and go through the 12 steps. Step 1. Admitting powerlessness over addiction. Step 2. Believing a higher power could restore sanity. Step 3. Turning will and life over to that higher power. It was intense work, baby. Emotional, painful, necessary. And David guided me through all of it. "I'm proud of you," he'd say. 60 days sober. That's huge. And I'd feel that pride, that sense of accomplishment. Feel like maybe I could actually do this. Maybe I could actually stay clean. David brought me coffee at every meeting. "Made it just how you like it," he'd say, handing me a cup. 2 sugars, extra cream. I appreciated it. It was a small kindness in a journey that felt overwhelmingly hard. By 3 months sober, I was doing well. Got a part-time job. Started rebuilding my life. The cravings were less intense, less frequent. I was sleeping better, eating better, feeling almost normal. "You're a success story," David told me. "You're proof that recovery works." But then, around month 4, something changed. I started feeling off, dizzy sometimes, foggy, tired. "It's probably just stress," David said when I mentioned it. "Recovery is exhausting. Your body is still healing, maybe. But it feels like more than that. Are you eating enough? Sleeping enough?" "I think so. Keep monitoring it. But I wouldn't worry too much. Everyone has ups and downs in recovery." The symptoms got worse. Week by week, I felt more exhausted, more foggy. Started having trouble concentrating at work. Would get dizzy spells that came out of nowhere. And the cravings came back. Stronger than before. "That's normal," David assured me. "Cravings never fully go away. You just learn to manage them." But I thought they were getting better. Now they're worse than they were 2 months ago. Recovery isn't linear, Eve. You'll have good weeks and bad weeks. The important thing is you're not drinking. But I wanted to drink. God, I wanted to drink. The urge was overwhelming some days. I'd call David, panicking. "I can't do this. I need a drink. "You don't need anything except to stay sober. Come to the diner. Right now, I'll meet you." And I'd go. And David would sit with me for hours, talking me down, keeping me safe. "You're okay. You're going to be okay. This feeling will pass." By month 5, I was barely holding on. The exhaustion was crushing. The cravings were constant. I felt like I was going crazy. Maybe I need to go back to rehab. I told David. No. You're doing fine. You're still sober. That's what matters. But I feel like I'm dying. That's the addiction talking. It wants you to give up. Don't let it win. Maria noticed I was struggling. Eve, you don't look good. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just tired. You're more than tired. You look sick. Have you seen a doctor? I don't need a doctor. I'm just... Recovery is hard. This seems like more than that. But I dismissed her concerns. Because David said I was fine. And I trusted David. By month 6, I was having memory problems. Would forget conversations. Lose track of time. Simple tasks felt impossible. David, something is really wrong with me. It's stress, Eve. And probably some residual effects from years of drinking. Your brain is still healing. How long does that take? Everyone is different. But you're doing great. 6 months sober. That's amazing. But I didn't feel amazing. I felt like I was drowning. Like I was losing my mind. And the worst part was, I couldn't tell if it was recovery or something else. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday. Regular AA meeting. I arrived early as usual. David was there with my coffee. Here you go. Made it fresh? I took it gratefully. Sat down. Drank it while we talked before the meeting started. And about 20 minutes later I felt wrong. Really wrong. The room started spinning. My heart was racing. I felt disconnected from my body. And then I recognized it. That feeling. I'd felt it 1,000 times before. I was high. David, I said, my voice distant. I feel weird. What kind of weird? I feel like I did when I was using. He frowned. That's impossible. You're sober. I know, but I swear, this is what it felt like. I'm high right now. He walked me outside. Let's get some air. You're probably having a panic attack. But it wasn't a panic attack. I knew what a panic attack felt like. This was different. This was drugs. David, I need to go to the hospital. No, you don't. You're fine. Just breathe. I'm not fine. Something is wrong. Eve, listen to me. You're having a psychological reaction. Your brain is playing tricks on you. You're sober. You haven't taken anything. Then why do I feel high? Because your brain remembers what it felt like. It's creating the sensation. I wanted to believe him. But my body knew. I was high. Somehow, some way, I was high. David drove me home. Walked me to my sister's door. Sleep it off. You'll feel better in the morning. I stumbled inside. Maria took one look at me. Eve, what happened? Your eyes, your pupils are dilated. Are you high? I don't know. I feel high, but I didn't take anything. We're going to the hospital. The ER doctor ran tests, blood work, urinalysis, and then came back with results that made my blood run cold. Miss Thompson, you have benzodiazepines in your system, and opioids. That's impossible. I haven't taken anything. The levels are significant. This isn't residual from past use. You've taken something within the past few hours. I racked my brain, trying to figure out how. I hadn't taken any pills, hadn't used anything. All I'd had was coffee. The coffee David gave me. My sponsor, I whispered. He brought me coffee before the meeting. The doctor looked concerned. You think someone drugged you? I don't know. But I didn't take anything. I swear I didn't take anything. Maria grabbed my hand. We're calling the police. The police took my statement, took the coffee cup, which I'd kept in my car, sent it for testing. And 2 days later, they called. Ms. Thompson, the coffee contained crushed benzodiazepines and a small amount of opioid painkillers. Someone definitely drugged you. My world stopped. David, my sponsor, my lifeline, the man I trusted completely, had been drugging me. For months. Everything clicked into place. The exhaustion, the brain fog, the memory problems, the intensifying cravings. He'd been keeping me sick, keeping me dependent, on purpose. The police wanted me to press charges immediately, but I was in shock. Couldn't process what I'd learned. David had been drugging me. For months. Every coffee he'd brought me, every act of kindness had been poisoning me. Why? I kept asking, why would he do this? The detective assigned to my case had a theory. We see this sometimes with people in positions of power over vulnerable individuals. Sponsors, therapists, counselors, they create dependency. Keep their victims sick so they can play savior. But he seemed so genuine, so caring. That's how they operate. They gain trust, then exploit it. Maria was furious. He was supposed to help you. That's the whole point of a sponsor. I know. How long do you think he was doing this? I don't know. Months, maybe. Since I started feeling sick again. That bastard. While you were trying so hard to stay clean, he was secretly drugging you, making you think you were failing. And that was the worst part, baby. He'd made me think I was weak, that my brain was broken, that I couldn't stay clean without him, when the whole time he was the reason I was struggling. The police searched David's home, found a stockpile of medications, benzodiazepines, opioids, stimulants, bottles and bottles of pills, some prescribed to him, some with no labels, some clearly diverted from elsewhere. He's been doing this for years, the detective told me. We found journals, notes on different people. You're not his first victim. My stomach turned. What do you mean? He has detailed records of at least 8 other people he's sponsored over the past decade. Notes on their vulnerabilities, their triggers, their dosages. Dosages? How much he was giving them. He was experimenting, keeping them sick enough to stay dependent but not sick enough to overdose or seek medical help. They found my name in his journals, entries dating back to my first meeting. Eve Thompson, 38, alcoholic, fresh from rehab, desperate, vulnerable, good candidate. Like I was a test subject. His entries detailed everything. Week 4, started adding 25 milligrams alprazolam to her coffee. She hasn't noticed. Week 8, increased to 5 milligrams. She's reporting fatigue and brain fog, attributing it to recovery stress. Perfect. Week 12, added 5 milligrams hydrocodone twice weekly. Cravings intensifying as planned. He'd planned this. From the very beginning. Why? I asked the detective again. What did he get out of this? Control, power. Some people are addicted to being needed, to being the savior. By keeping you sick, he ensured you'd always need him. But I could have died. He didn't care. Or maybe he did care in his twisted way. But his need for control was stronger. They arrested David at his home, charged him with assault with a deadly weapon, the drugs, poisoning, practicing medicine without a license, multiple counts related to illegal possession and distribution of controlled substances. His bail was set at $500,000. He couldn't pay it. Stayed in jail awaiting trial. The AA community was in shock. David had been a fixture there for years, respected, trusted, seen as a pillar of recovery. We had no idea, the meeting coordinator told me. He seemed so committed to helping people. Some people believed me immediately. Others were skeptical. "Are you sure you didn't take those drugs yourself, and are blaming David?" That hurt, baby. Hurt almost as much as the betrayal itself. But the evidence was overwhelming. The police contacted David's other victims. 8 people over 10 years, all with similar stories. All had felt sick during their recovery. All had cravings that intensified instead of improving. All had been completely dependent on David. One woman, Sarah, called me. "I left the program 3 years ago," she said. "Thought I'd failed, thought I was too weak to stay sober. Ended up relapsing and almost dying. And the whole time, he was drugging me. Did you ever suspect?" "No, never. He was so kind, so supportive. I thought he was saving my life. Turns out he was destroying it." Another victim, Marcus, had been sober for a year before David started sponsoring him. "I was doing great. Then I started working with David, and suddenly everything fell apart. I thought it was just part of the process. That recovery got harder before it got easier. But he was poisoning me the entire time." "How long were you with him?" 2 years. 2 years of feeling crazy, of barely holding on. And then I moved to another city for work, and suddenly all my symptoms disappeared. I thought it was the fresh start, but it was just getting away from him. The psychological damage was immense. For all of us. We'd trusted this man with our lives, with our recovery, and he'd betrayed that trust in the cruelest way possible. I had to start over with my recovery. Find a new sponsor, a new meeting, build new trust. But how do you trust anyone after that? How do you accept help when help nearly killed you? I found a female sponsor this time. Her name was Patricia. 60 years old, 25 years sober, no nonsense. Practical. Safe. "I heard what happened," she said when we first met. "I want you to know, I will never bring you anything to drink. No coffee, no tea, nothing. If we meet, you get your own beverages. I don't touch them. Understood?" "Understood. And if you ever feel uncomfortable with me, you can walk away. No explanation needed. Your safety comes first." It took months to rebuild. To trust again. To believe that recovery was possible without being manipulated. Patricia was patient. "This is going to take time," she said. "David didn't just drug you, he broke your ability to trust. That's harder to heal than the physical damage." The physical damage was significant too. The benzodiazepines had caused dependency. When they tested my blood after the ER visit, my levels indicated I'd been taking them regularly for months, which meant my body was now physically dependent. Stopping abruptly could cause seizures. Could kill me. I had to be slowly weaned off under medical supervision. More rehab. More withdrawal. More hell. "This isn't fair," I told my doctor. "I fought so hard to get clean. And now I have to go through withdrawal again because someone poisoned me? I know, it's not fair. But we have to do this safely." So I spent another 30 days in rehab. Detoxing from drugs I'd never chosen to take. Drugs that had been slipped to me by someone I trusted. The other victims and I formed a support group. 8 of us. All betrayed by the same man. We met weekly. Shared our stories, our anger, our trauma. "I trusted him with my life," Sarah said. "And he used that trust to hurt me. He made me think I was crazy," Marcus added. "Made me think I was failing at recovery when really, he was sabotaging me." We learned that David had a pattern. He'd target people who were especially vulnerable. People fresh from rehab with no support system. People who were isolated, desperate, willing to trust completely. He'd build rapport quickly. make himself indispensable, and then slowly, carefully start drugging them. Why didn't anyone notice? I asked the group. Because the symptoms looked like recovery struggles, Patricia explained. She attended our group as a facilitator. Fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, intensifying cravings. Those are all things people experience in early recovery. He was hiding his abuse in plain sight. And when we'd complain, he'd normalize it. Sarah said. Tell us it was part of the process. Exactly. He weaponized our lack of knowledge about recovery against us. The trial took a year to happen. David pleaded not guilty. Claimed he was being framed. Said we were all lying to cover up our own relapses. These people are addicts, his lawyer argued. They're not reliable. They could have been using without David's knowledge and are now blaming him. But the evidence was overwhelming. The journals in his handwriting, the stockpile of drugs in his home, the coffee cup that tested positive, the testimony of 8 victims with nearly identical stories. The pattern was undeniable. I had to testify. Had to sit in a courtroom and face him. David sat at the defense table looking smaller than I remembered. Older, diminished. But when I looked at him, I saw the monster he really was. Miss Thompson, the prosecutor asked, can you describe your relationship with the defendant? He was my sponsor. Someone I trusted completely. Someone I believed was helping me stay sober. And what did you discover? That he was drugging me. Putting pills in my coffee. Making me sick. Keeping me dependent on him. How did that make you feel? Betrayed, violated. Like everything I'd worked for had been poisoned. David's lawyer cross-examined me. Miss Thompson, isn't it true you're an addict? I'm in recovery, yes. And addicts lie, don't they? To cover up their using? Sometimes. But I'm not lying. How can we be sure? Maybe you were using and don't want to admit it. Because I was tested at the hospital. The drugs were in my system at levels consistent with regular recent use. But I never took them. The only thing I'd consumed was coffee from David. You can't prove he put drugs in that coffee. The coffee cup tested positive. His home had hundreds of pills. His journal documented everything. How much more proof do you need? The jury deliberated for 3 days. Came back with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. David was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The judge was harsh. Mr. Harrison, you took advantage of people at their most vulnerable. People who came to you seeking help, seeking salvation from their addictions, and you exploited them, poisoned them, made them sicker to feed your own need for control. You violated the trust of an entire community. You are a predator of the worst kind. 20 years. He'd be 72 when he got out. If he survived that long. But 20 years didn't undo the damage. Didn't give us back the months and years he'd stolen. Didn't restore our ability to trust. I'm 2 years clean now. Actually clean. Truly clean. No drugs. No alcohol. Nothing. And I can finally tell the difference between real recovery and being poisoned. The brain fog is gone. The exhaustion is gone. The intensifying cravings? Gone. Once I was off the drugs David had been giving me, recovery became manageable. Still hard. Still requiring daily effort. But not the impossible struggle it had been when he was drugging me. You were never failing, Patricia told me. You were succeeding despite being actively sabotaged. The fact that you stayed sober even while being poisoned, that's incredible strength. I'd never thought of it that way. But she was right. I'd fought through withdrawal twice. Stayed sober while being systematically drugged. Survived something that could have killed me. I was stronger than I'd ever known. The other victims are at different stages of recovery. Sarah is 3 years clean now. Doing well. Marcus relapsed after everything came out. The trauma was too much. But he's back in recovery now. 6 months sober. 2 of the victims died. Overdoses. After David's betrayal came to light, they couldn't handle it. Couldn't trust recovery anymore. Turned back to drugs. And didn't survive. Their deaths haunt me. Because David killed them. Maybe not directly, but he destroyed their ability to trust help. And without help, addicts die. The AA community has implemented new protocols. Background checks for sponsors. Training on recognizing manipulation and abuse. Emphasis on autonomy. Sponsors are guides, not controllers. Never let anyone bring you food or drinks, they tell newcomers now. Always get your own. It's sad that it's necessary. But it is. I still go to meetings. Different ones than before. Different community. But I go. Because I need the support. And because I want to be visible. Want other people to know, if something feels wrong, trust that feeling. If your recovery is making you sicker instead of better, question it. If your sponsor is making you more dependent instead of more independent, that's a red flag. David tried to appeal his sentence. Claimed he hadn't gotten a fair trial. That the jury was biased against him. The appeal was denied. He's serving his 20 years. And good. He deserves every day of it. I got a letter from him 6 months ago. Forwarded through my lawyer. I almost didn't read it, but I needed to know what he'd say. Dear Eve, I've had a lot of time to think about what I did. To reflect on my actions. I want you to know that I never meant to hurt you. I thought I was helping. I thought keeping you a little dependent on me would prevent you from relapsing. I was wrong. I see that now. I'm sorry for the pain I caused. I hope you can forgive me someday. David, I burned the letter. Because it was bullshit. He wasn't sorry. He was sorry he got caught. His journal proved he knew exactly what he was doing. Documented it in detail. Took pleasure in the control. There was no confusion. No good intentions gone wrong. Just calculated cruelty. باشه عزیزم. الان قسمت سوم و آخر 3000 کلمه رو می نویسم. Part 3 of 3. Forgiveness is something people talk about a lot in recovery. You have to forgive to heal, they say. Holding on to anger hurts you more than them. Let it go for your own peace. But I don't forgive David. And I don't think I ever will. Some betrayals are too deep. Some wounds don't heal with forgiveness. My therapist, a new one, specializing in trauma, says that's okay. Forgiveness isn't mandatory for healing, she tells me. You can acknowledge what happened, process the trauma, and move forward without forgiving the person who hurt you. Really? Really. Forgiveness is a choice, and choosing not to forgive someone who systematically poisoned you is valid. It was freeing to hear that, baby. Because I'd been feeling guilty for my anger. Feeling like I was doing recovery wrong by not forgiving. But I'm allowed to be angry. I'm allowed to never forgive. What I do have to do is process what happened. Understand how it affected me. And learn to trust again. That's the hardest part. Trust is complicated now. I question everything. Every act of kindness. Every offer of help. Every person who seems too good to be true. That's normal, Patricia tells me. After what you went through, your brain is protecting you. It's hypervigilant. Looking for threats. When does it stop? Gradually. As you have positive experiences. As you build healthy relationships. As you prove to yourself that not everyone is David. I started building those healthy relationships slowly. Patricia was the first. A sponsor who respected boundaries. Who never overstepped. who empowered instead of controlled. Your recovery is yours, she'd say. I'm just here to share what worked for me. You make your own decisions. That was so different from David. David had made himself indispensable, had inserted himself into every aspect of my life. Patricia kept appropriate distance, was available but not intrusive, supportive but not controlling. That's what healthy sponsorship looks like. I built friendships in my new AA community, people who understood trauma, who'd been through their own betrayals. We looked out for each other. How are you really? Became our code for checking in. Not the surface level fine, but the real stuff. The struggles, the fears, the bad days. Sarah and I became close friends. We understood each other in a way others couldn't. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if he hadn't been caught? She asked me once. All the time. I think he would have killed us. Eventually. Increased the doses until we overdosed. Made it look like we relapsed. The detective said the same thing. Said we were lucky. Lucky? She laughed bitterly. Some luck. But we were lucky. In a terrible way. 2 of the other victims were dead. We could have been 2. Instead, we were here. Alive. Fighting. That meant something. The physical recovery from the drugs took 6 months. My body had to readjust to functioning without benzodiazepines. The withdrawal was brutal. Anxiety, insomnia, muscle pain, tremors, all supervised by doctors this time. All done safely, but still hell. I'm so tired of withdrawing, I told my doctor. I've done this twice now. Once from alcohol, once from drugs I never chose to take. I know, it's not fair. But you're doing it. You're surviving it. That takes incredible strength. The psychological recovery took longer, is still ongoing really. PTSD. That's what the therapist called it. Post-traumatic stress disorder from being systematically poisoned by someone I trusted. Nightmares. Flashbacks. Hypervigilance. Panic attacks. All classic PTSD symptoms. You experienced a prolonged traumatic event, my therapist explained. Your brain is still processing that, still trying to keep you safe. I did EMDR therapy, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Sounds strange, but it helped. Processing the trauma through bilateral stimulation, reducing the emotional intensity of the memories. It didn't erase what happened, but it made it more bearable to live with. 2 years later, I'm doing okay. Not great, not healed, but okay. I have sober days and hard days. Days when recovery feels manageable, and days when it feels impossible. But I'm doing it. Without being drugged, without being manipulated. On my own terms. I went back to school. Started taking classes in addiction counseling. Are you sure? Maria asked. After everything you went through? Because of everything I went through, I know what vulnerable people need, and I know what predators look like. I can help protect people. I want to do what David pretended to do. Actually help people recover, with ethics, with boundaries, with genuine compassion. Not to feed my ego or need for control, but because recovery saved my life, and I want to help others find that salvation, real salvation, not the poison version David offered. I volunteer at a rehab facility now, share my story with people in early recovery. If something feels wrong during your recovery, trust that feeling, I tell them. If someone is making you more dependent instead of more independent, that's a red flag. If your symptoms are getting worse instead of better, question why. Get second opinions. Don't let anyone isolate you. Some people thank me for the warning. Others seem skeptical, like I'm being paranoid. But if even one person hears my story and recognizes their own situation, it's worth it. The civil lawsuit took 18 months. All 8 victims sued David for damages, medical expenses, therapy costs, lost wages, pain and suffering. David had no money, no assets, but his homeowner's insurance covered some of it, and the AA organization he was affiliated with settled to avoid bad publicity. I received $180,000. Not nearly enough to compensate for what he took from me, but something. I used it to pay off medical debt from the detox and therapy. The rest I saved, because I'd learned the hard way that security matters, that you can lose everything in an instant, that you have to protect yourself. The AA organization that settled also implemented reforms, background checks, training programs, oversight committees. This should never have happened, their lawyer said during the settlement negotiations. We failed to protect vulnerable people. We're committed to doing better. Actions matter more than words. But at least they were taking action. David's case became a teaching example, featured in addiction counselor training programs. This is what predatory behavior looks like in recovery settings, instructors say. They use his journal entries, his methods, his victims' stories, as warnings, as lessons in what to watch for. Some good came from the horror. That's what I tell myself on bad days. His conviction protected future victims. The reforms protected current ones. The awareness prevented others from suffering. It doesn't erase my pain, but it gives it meaning. I see my grandniece now, Maria's daughter's child. She's 2 years old, beautiful, innocent. And when I hold her, I think, I survived so I could be here for this, for moments like this, for love like this. David tried to kill me, slowly, insidiously, but intentionally. And he failed. I'm still here. Recovery is different now than it was when David was my sponsor. It's harder in some ways. I have trust issues, PTSD, hypervigilance. But it's easier in others. I'm not being actively poisoned anymore. My symptoms are real recovery symptoms, not drug-induced ones. My progress is real progress, not an illusion. I can actually heal now. I'm 2 years sober, truly sober. Clean from everything, including the drugs David forced on me. And you know what, baby? Recovery is possible. Real recovery. Honest recovery. Healthy recovery. It's hard. It requires work. It requires support. But it's possible. Even after betrayal. Even after trauma. Even after someone tried to destroy you. You can still make it. Patricia tells me, I'm an inspiration. You survived something that would have broken most people, and you're using it to help others. That's powerful. I don't feel powerful. Most days I feel fragile, damaged, still healing. But maybe that's okay. Maybe you can be both, broken and strong, wounded and healing, traumatized and surviving. I think about the 2 victims who didn't survive, Rachel and Thomas. They couldn't overcome what David did to them. The betrayal was too deep, the trust too broken. They went back to drugs and didn't come back. I think about them often. Wonder if there was something I could have said or done, some way to save them. You can't save everyone, my therapist says. You can only save yourself and offer help to others. What they do with that help is their choice. I know she's right. But it still hurts. Because I understand why they gave up. Why the betrayal was too much. I almost gave up too. The difference is, I had Maria, Patricia, a support system that kept me here. Rachel and Thomas didn't have that. Or couldn't access it. or couldn't trust it after David. Their families sued David too, wrongful death suits, arguing that his actions directly led to their relapses and deaths. The cases are still pending. I hope their families get justice, get compensation for their losses, get acknowledgement that David killed their loved ones. Because he did. As surely as if he'd given them a fatal dose himself. I was interviewed for a documentary about predators in recovery programs. Why did you agree to speak publicly? The filmmaker asked. Because this happens more than people think. Sponsors who abuse power, counselors who exploit vulnerability, facilities that prioritize profit over care. People need to know it's not just individual bad actors, it's systemic problems. The documentary aired last month. I watched it with Maria and Patricia. Seeing my story on screen was surreal, but necessary. Several people reached out after it aired. This happened to me too. I thought I was the only one. My sponsor did similar things. I didn't know it was abuse. Thank you for speaking up. You gave me the courage to report. That's why I keep telling my story, baby. Not for attention. Not for sympathy. But because silence protects predators. And speaking up protects victims. David will be eligible for parole in 12 years. When he's 64. I'll be 55. I've already prepared my statement for the parole board. This man is a danger to vulnerable people. He should serve every day of his sentence. And when he's released, he should be permanently banned from any role involving recovery, counseling, or helping professions. He cannot be trusted. He should not be given another opportunity to harm. I'll attend every parole hearing. Every single one. To make sure they know what he did. To make sure he serves his full time. To protect future victims. Maria says I'm obsessed. You need to move on. Stop letting him take up space in your head. I'm not obsessed. I'm vigilant. There's a difference. Is there? Yes. Obsession is about him. Vigilance is about protecting others. Maybe she's right. Maybe I am a little obsessed. But I earned that obsession. He poisoned me for months. Made me think I was losing my mind. Nearly killed me. I'm allowed to be obsessed with making sure he never does it again. My life now is quiet. Stable. Boring in the best way. I work part-time at the rehab facility. Go to meetings 3 times a week. Have coffee with Patricia every Sunday. Visit Maria and her family regularly. Take my niece's daughter to the park. It's a simple life. But it's mine. And it's real. No one is controlling it. Manipulating it. Poisoning it. Just me. Living day by day. Staying sober. Building something authentic. People ask me if I'm happy. I don't know if happy is the right word. I'm content. Grateful. Healing. Happy feels like too simple a word for the complexity of surviving trauma. But I'm okay. And after everything, okay is enough. 2 years sober. 2 years of real, authentic, unpoisoned sobriety. Some days it still feels impossible. But I'm doing it. One day at a time. The way it's supposed to be done. Without anyone drugging my coffee. Without anyone making me dependent. Without anyone controlling my recovery. Just me. My choice. My strength. My survival. And baby, if you're out there struggling with addiction, hear this. Recovery is possible. Real recovery. Healthy recovery. But you have to be careful who you trust. Not everyone who offers help is safe. Not every sponsor has good intentions. If something feels wrong, if you're getting sicker instead of better, if someone is making you more dependent instead of more independent, if your gut is screaming that something's off, listen to that feeling. Get a second opinion. Talk to someone else. Don't let anyone isolate you. Your recovery should empower you, not imprison you. And if someone is poisoning that recovery, literally or metaphorically, you have the right to walk away. You have the right to protect yourself, even from people who claim they're trying to help. My name is Eve. I'm 43 years old. I'm an addict. I'm a survivor. And I'm 2 years clean. Really, truly, finally clean. Final reflections. Recovery is possible, but you have to be careful who you trust with your vulnerability. If something feels wrong during recovery, trust that feeling. Your instincts are protecting you. Healthy support empowers you. Unhealthy support creates dependency. Know the difference. Not everyone who offers help has good intentions. Some people prey on the vulnerable. You don't have to forgive to heal. Anger at your abuser is valid and doesn't impede recovery. Always get your own food and drinks. Never let anyone have that level of access to you. If you're getting sicker instead of better, question why. Real recovery moves toward health, not deeper illness. Speaking up about abuse protects others. Your story matters. Your voice matters. Survival is an act of resistance. Living well is the best revenge.